All right. So, very good morning to all of you, to all the participants and my CGJ colleagues. And good morning, ma'am, Dhamija ma'am.
Good morning,
Today
and
we,
welcome to Dr. Katal. Yes, please continue.
yeah, ma'am. So today we have Miss Pena D. Katyal as a guest speaker in our Azadi Ka Amrit Mahotsav. And first of all, I would like to take this opportunity to introduce her. She is a postgraduate holder with the 22 years of experience in the field of pharmacy, and she also possesses numerous certifications in the field like disaster management, leprosy management, and adolescent healthcare, to name a few. In her 22 years of experience, she has managed PSCs, been the head of stores management, the lead facilitators of DGEHS scheme launched by Delhi government in the pandemic as a COVID management task force, and many more integral assignments. Her works ranges outside her job, where she makes sure to spend time on community service. Being a strong environmentalist, she spreads awareness to resident welfare associations, pharmacy associations, and everyone around her to protect the environment by giving practical, handy tips and monetary helping associations to grow more trees and work on compositing of green garbage. And she is a successful educator too, who has worked with numerous psychiatrists, psychologists, and children of special needs, including her son, who is now studying in abroad. So, Prernaji, you're most welcome, and over to you now.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Kavalji. So let us start with the topic today. Let us discuss with pharmaceutical pollution and sustainable development goals. Before starting them, I'll request you to make me host so that I can share the presentation I had made. Kamalji?
You can go ahead, ma'am. You can share your screen.
Okay. Thank you. So today's topic is pharmaceutical pollution and sustainable development goals. Are they going the right way? Are we really working to control the pharma waste generating in each day? So let us today see a few aspects of this type of waste, which is very sensitive and needs a responsible stakeholders to take care of. So we all know the wastewater treatment plants actually do not, they are not developed to remove pharmaceutical residues from the water. And consequently, these pharmaceutical residues are detected in many ecosystems, aquatic system, the soil, and to name a few. And these ecosystems are actually directly, indirectly is affecting our health. How it is affecting, I'll go in my further slides. I'll take that in detail. But right now, to understand this complex environmental problem, let us first see what actually what particular points is drawing our attention to right now. So in the just a moment. So the highlights of this presentation is, and this is an evaluation of the achievement of sustainable development goals made by 17 goals, which are made by UN, and considering pharmaceutical pollution as a case study, and how Indian legislation is actually working for disposing pharmaceutical waste, and reflecting our concerning alternatives for better management and aiming to reduce this pharma pollution. So in these three main aims, I had come to know when I researched about it that it is still a big problem. We are going against sustainable development goals, and the regulations which is there, but that is not working properly. There is a lack in the system. There are several loopholes going on that I see in my workplace also. And many countries have seen global impacts, including India, particularly Delhi has also seen, and Himachal there was a case. And how we are affected, we can go into detail. And the solution, I had tried to integrate a few solutions to my level best, but I think there will be much more we can do over it to reduce this drug pollution. And the next is for understanding this topic, actually, I thought, let me break this into few question forms so that we all keep on thinking and we make memory tags to retain and register it in our minds. So first question arises in my mind is, let us know what is pharmaceutical waste. So pharmaceutical waste is ranging from unused drugs, expired drugs, over-the-counter medications which we buy directly, painkillers and all that, personal care products, the sunscreens, the lotions and creams and ointments we use, lab reagents, test kits, and laboratory waste that come out after the investigation process is carrying on. All, and particularly the major amount of pharma waste is coming from pharma industries. That is the important thing to know. We need to have strong regulations for that. Now, the next is why we are so much concerned, why the emphasis is focusing on pharma waste. What are the environmental impacts, or why it is so important to handle pharmaceutical waste with such sensitization? So research and studies have shown medication residues leach into water systems, and they are posing serious threats to wildlife, aquatic animals. Hormones, antibiotics, chemotherapy drugs are found in the water samples. And all these have been linked in severe development problems in fishes and frogs, and ultimately they are entered through aquatic life to human food chain. And how this is happening, this is a slow and gradual, unnoticed process. How this is happening, let us go on and study into deep. Like earlier, what in our whatever waste, pharma waste is generating in our households, we used to throw that in the dustbin, or we used to flush that in the toilet and throw away, so that we are getting rid of that. But ultimately it is harming in our environment, and this harm is again coming to us. This is a cycle we are going in. So nowadays drinking water supply has been found with medication thrown recklessly, even the heavy metals. From past, I think 15 years, it is my practice to throw a little water when I start the tap in the morning, because once I had learned from a lecture, or I think from a book, that heavy metals like mercury, they come and stand on the tip of the tap. So it is my practice to throw away that little water, drinking water, before storing it for the drinking purposes. So like this way, we are in our day-to-day life affected with this. And let me share with you all a very shocking prediction by WHO, that by 2025 or 27, 85% of Indian households will have cancer patients. And in my healthcare facilities, we have seen a shooting spike in the cancer cases, which is evident that this pollution is definitely affecting us, and it's really very important to take action right here and right now. So in the second slide, I'm just continuing that with the environmental impact only. This slide is showing that there is a silent pandemic going on, and we all are just shutting our eyes and not able to see that, or we are able to see that, but we are not taking appropriate timely actions for that. And that silent pandemic is actually a serious threat to the mankind because of the drug resistant pathogens found in water, in our water bodies, and in the Yamuna beds, particularly if I talk about Delhi. These superbugs are nothing but that only bacteria and virus who are fed on the antibiotics we have thrown recklessly into the water. So when this untreated hospital waste water which is laden with the antibiotics, is thrown recklessly in the water, the hotspot for these superbugs is generated. That is their favorable condition. They are sustaining on that food what we are throwing as antibiotics. Yamuna bed is one of the example, and the bug found here is named as New Delhi bug, New Delhi superbug, and we Delhiites are actually getting our daily supply of daily veggies and fruits from Yamuna bed only. This is a very high alarming thing. A few years back, I have read this column in the newspaper also, that the vegetables and fruits we are eating, they have superbugs, they have traces of heavy metals, but we have no option other than to have it. And the COVID pandemic actually was a superb example to understand the delicate interconnection between animal environment and human ecosystem. How we all are interconnected with each other. We can see that. We can see we all humans, we animals, and how they are like it was this virus was basically found in animals. Now it mutated and it is affecting humans. See how we are connected. And this will continue and it will be tested by the climate change. The degradation of health of these three ecosystems will actually contribute to the spread and emergence of new pandemics. This is for sure. The new pandemics are coming because we people are really recklessly handling the things that is going on in present time. But this silent pandemic, what we are talking about here is, in the COVID pandemic, actually, this pandemic is not highlighted. COVID was highlighted because of the severe mortal rates. But this pandemic, the silent pandemic going on, which is called antimicrobial resistance. Actually, a study has shown that this AMR, antimicrobial resistance, has actually induced up to 10 million global deaths every year by 2050 and forced 28 million people into poverty. So this is the data I'm sharing with you. Further, our health systems will be overburdened because drug will lose their efficacy due to AMR, and more stronger and stronger drugs is to be developed to control the MDR cases, multiple drug resistant cases. So to control or avoid this situation, there is a severe need of taking action at this priority basis on this time. So my next slide is about antibiotics in our rivers. Again, it is the environmental impact. The irrational use of antibiotics in human medication, agriculture, aquaculture, livestock, poultry, throughout the India. Actually, this has been addressed as a multiple sectoral approach. This is so many sectors are involved in this, and we have to work on all of them so that a collective response is generated. The emphasis is on promotion of appropriate usage of antimicrobials in patients and in aquaculture, agriculture, poultry also, and controlling the multiple drug resistant cases in hospitals and healthcare facilities. These are actually termed as antimicrobial stewardship practices. And in my healthcare facility, we all are working towards it. We actually promote the rational use of antibiotics prescribed to the patients. And I hope that in other sectors also, like in agriculture, in poultry, livestock, they are also doing that. Similarly, the misuse of antibiotics in aquaculture, poultry needs strict measures to be taken. Few example I have studied, that is the ban on colistin, that is an antibiotic used in poultry. So this is banned. So you can see they are working, but I'm definitely sure of there are loopholes because India needs education on ground level so that all these situations to get controlled of. So the area of concern is the strategies to tackle environmental antibacterial resistance and to have regulations limiting antibiotic concentration in hospital wastewater and effluents from pharma industries. So now in all over India, across the India, only 45% of hospitals have water, their antibiotic water concentration treatment facilities. So this is a gruesome issue that only 45%, the data is quite less and the amount is quite much. So, and in the absence of SOPs, standard operating protocols, the high concentration of antibiotics in pharmaceutical effluents actually get discharged into water bodies. Thereby, the chain is again formed that is a grave threat to animals and humans. Of late, several instances of pharmaceutical pollution have been reported, like the Baddi Pharma Hub in Himachal Pradesh, where this pharmaceutical pollution was found, and the action has been taken by CPCB, and the antibiotic pollution in Sirsa River. So the central bodies acting on it is Central Pollution on Control Board. I'm sure you all will be aware of CPCB, and Ministry of Environment, Forest and Climate Change is also working on this. And along with the state pollution boards, they should come at a same platform to work on, because I think central bodies have better capacities and resources to work on this. Along with this, the antibiotic pollution, and along with this, how we can control AMR is through the sanitation and good hygiene practices. Clean drinking water. We can actually control on this antimicrobial resistant cases in our hospitals and health places. So now let's move on to the next slide. That is superbugs that are resistant to last resort. Okay. No, that is, this slide is actually in continuation with the earlier one. Now, my next question is, when this is so important to dispose of this pharmaceutical waste in a particular way, then what scientific way is there to segregate and work on the zero level? Like in my pharmacy, I used to do this. So let us now understand that there are 6 steps to dispose of pharma waste. First step is, it is mentioned here in the bullets form, segregate pharmaceutical waste from biohazardous waste, so that it doesn't end up in a landfill, and ensure that it is not going in the red container or red bag. The waste, biohazardous waste, is going on with the red container, and the pharmaceutical waste should not be mixed with that. And the next is, pull out all controlled substances. Controlled substances are like Schedule H drugs, which are opiates and benzodiazepines, chemo drugs. These should be transported and burnt in the incineration, not to be thrown in a landfill or something else. And pull out any trace of chemotherapy waste. Again, the chemo drugs in very trace amount, they can affect us. And even the empty IV tubing, empty medication vials, and even the gloves used by the staff while administering chemotherapy, that should go in the yellow container and should be burnt completely in the incineration. It should not be thrown in the landfills. And fourth is, pull out any hazardous waste. Drugs like warfarin, mitomycin, these are placed in black containers, and that required very specific disposable. We cannot throw it in the dustbin or in the toilet flush. We cannot throw it like that. Next is packaging, whatever is left, that should be removed, the aluminum, plastic that contains the tablets and all that. And everything should be, actually the pharma waste should be disposed in white container with blue lids. It was mentioned here. Otherwise, pharma waste which is sensitive, which is biohazardous, they all have to go in yellow bag and in the incineration. These are the non-hazardous things, the packing material and all that. Now, next is, it is very important to have a contract with licensed biomedical waste disposable service. After all the precautions we are taking, we are segregating the pharma waste and everything. We need a knowledgeable partner to dispose of the pharma waste we are handling over to him. And in Delhi, with my health facilities, Biotech Waste Solution is working with us. And I should mention here that we are following all the protocols, we are following everything, but even then I see there are few loopholes besides all the precautions. So authorities, I will really raise my voice. I always go to my bosses and tell them that this thing is going wrong and that thing is going wrong. So we must take a strict compliance with these rules. That is very much needed. So next is how India is handling its waste care with pharmaceutical care. So in India, actually BMW management rules, BMW is biomedical waste. BMW management rules came into existence in 2016. Its objective was to properly manage the per day BMW from healthcare facilities across the country. So the NGT, the National Green Tribunal, has directed various authorities to ensure the compliance for BMW facilities in the country. Central Pollution Control Board is working, and they ensures the strict compliance for BMW rules and scientific disposal of waste. At state level, chief secretaries of states see for the compliance and ensure that authorization is secured by every healthcare facility in their jurisdiction, and all the health facilities are adhering to the norms. At district level, DMs are working, district magistrates are working, and district environmental plans are working. CPCM actually make contract with the licensed BMW disposable service and ensure for safe transportation and disposable. Waste is segregated as per the color coding given by them. We can see in this slide, black, green, blue, red, and yellow. As we say that precaution is always better than the cure, the mass awareness of the 6 Rs is really useful to reduce the bin. We can see in this slide. We will again further see in the last slide also. But if we follow these 6 Rs, we can actually reduce the waste we are generating. And in pharma waste also, we can actually reduce and reuse the pharma products also. It is not for generalized purpose, it is for pharma purpose also. And in this slide particularly, a lady is shown here. Because in our mindset, only the lady is doing the household job. So we can see here at the zero ground level, the segregation is done. Garden waste is separated, hazardous waste is separated, sanitary waste, debris, dry waste, wet, everything can be segregated on the basic level. But for this, we need to educate our mates. We need to raise our voice and make awareness among the masses. So the next thing is coming here is when we are following all these rules, even after following BMW rules, there are some concerns coming up. So the first concern, what I have seen during the COVID pandemic is the challenge of doing the scientific disposal of the generated, because at that time there was a huge waste generated, and that waste has to be incinerated because we want to curb the infection, the spread of virus. And that time, that was a challenge for our authorities to work. And we really did very well. I would really appreciate Delhi government for that, because I have seen people working day and night for that. And but there are few limitations we have, and there is a scope of much more work we can do on this waste management, scientific disposal of this sensitive and dangerous waste. Second, what I have seen concern is the poor compliance among the staff, among the healthcare workers also, among the states, and all the hierarchy goes on from lower to the higher, from higher to the lower. So for this, strict actions with the positive and negative consequences, means incentive based or punishment based, should be given, and CMEs to be conducted. I say CMEs are conducting in our department. Actually, the biomedical trainings are going on regular basis, but I think all of the staff should be educated, not only the handler is educated. So awareness is very much needed and compliance is needed. Third concern what I have seen is non-segregation. I've seen the segregation is actually, we can see in our household also how much we are segregating. So that is an issue, and that is adding to the pharma pollution. And fourth is again the awareness campaign. We need to conduct appropriate initiatives to educate our people through the Doordarshan, All India Radio, social media platform, and everything, like the advertisement we are getting in everything now. This thing should be raised. This voice should be raised for the pharma waste also. So the next topic is factors which are influencing environment sustainability in pharma industry. We are now talking about pharma because that is the place we need to address the most. That is the place where a huge amount of waste is coming. And actually climate change have given us this data, how much pollution we are creating. And climate change, we can see in April, there is such a hot climate we are facing. So we need to take serious action about it. And the other thing, sustainability in governance, that is the key area. Corruption, bribery, ethics, everything, risk management, these all are governance issues which need to be corrected and to be worked on. We know that pharma industry actually is producing a significant amount of waste and greenhouse gases too, apart from using huge volume of water. This high energy consumption, diverse supply chain, environmental pollution are few environmental factors that need to be addressed by the industry and provide us with the sustainable solution. So by improving production process, these are the solution, that if we improve production process, if we optimize supply chain, the industry can enhance the value and also ensure environmental sustainability. Now the industry can also ensure social sustainability. Nowadays, few MNCs are actually working on CSR, their social responsibilities they are taking. They are actually taking care of one sect of the area. Like in healthcare, in our healthcare system, there are few pharma companies which are coming to us, and they are saying, let us put a camp over here to spread the awareness of cancer, and let us people go through the investigations for free. Let us help them. So they are actually doing this social sustainability, but we need to do more and more because we are a country of huge population. So doing 1% or 2% won't affect now. Whenever at least 50% people are, if industries is participating, then we can see a sustainable difference in that. So if they provide access to affordable medication and treatments for the poor, like the generic medicine shops recently have been opened, so that way we can help in our society also. So sustainability and governance actually should focus on product quality, and there should be an open association with healthcare professionals and patients. Like I mentioned, that few companies are coming to us to put the camp to serve the people. So this association, open association, is very much needed, and companies should adopt these ethical standards and make a business model which is patient oriented. They can take the help of digital technology nowadays. So that would be great. And government policies that can play a major role in ensuring the compliance with the industries. If policies are made and regulations are strict, then we can control, actually this issue can be controlled. Government can provide incentive for implementing sustainable practices to them, and they are doing on their bit. But we need to do more and more. This is what I'm emphasizing on. So firm policies, strict and quick action, consistent behavior can change the show. And we need to awaken our society, industry, and governance to take timely action so that our future generations should not suffer. Now, the next slide is why incineration is the best for disposal of medicines. See, we all know the traces are being found in surface, ground, and drinking water around the world. And it is a potentially damaging environmental effect it is giving for the future generation. And they are affecting the health of millions of us. So, and we are very well aware that minuscule concentration of chemicals can actually be detrimental for aquatic health and for human health and development. So, whenever the waste is segregated and incinerated, pharma waste is segregated and incinerated, it ensures that the complete combustion of all the chemicals are happening, whatever is there. That is why incineration is best for the disposal of medication, so that no trace is left, no chemical composition is left. And this process is actually recommended by health and monitoring organization like WHO, UN, DEA, etc. So there are few pictures of medical incinerators also. You can see that these are special medical incinerators who do this job. So now the next thing, our duty, what we can do. Basically, if we have rights, we have duties too as a citizen. So besides BMW guideline, what is to be done to control pharma waste, to minimize the pharma waste? So one practice is what industry and healthcare and the patient chain we can do. And then in other slide, I'll discuss the general we can do in our daily day-to-day practices. So waste minimizing measures should be followed to achieve sustainable supply and use of drug. In this pictorial, what you are seeing on your screen, it is mentioned there that health authorities should create awareness, positive or negative enforcement, and then manufacturers should extend expiration dates of their medicines. They can make small packaging size. Then distributors should optimize stock management, reduce minimal shelf life for distribution. Then come the prescribers or the doctors. They should consider prescription quantity and shorter prescription duration and rationally use the drugs. Then comes the role of pharmacist. Pharmacists should efficiently manage their stocks. Efficient preparation and dispensing, redispensing, and use of unused medication should be practiced. And then the last stakeholder is patient. Patient should be conscious in ordering medication and aware and involved in waste minimizing measures. And from now, this was something, a chain, what we are using and handling. Now, in our day-to-day life, what I feel is the first and foremost intangible thing is sustainable human behavior. This is the basic way of life. When we are responsible enough of what we are doing, we can actually control the issues, we can control the problems, we can control the waste. So it is our basic way of life. We will be able to bounce back from adversity to a great progress as a whole. But there should be regular and consistent effort for that. Aisa nahi hai, one day I'm doing such thing, I'm not using polybag, I'm not wasting this, I'm not wasting the other day, it is going on, this won't work. So when we work on zero ground level, to educate our maids, rag pickers, like in the last meeting, I heard Mr. Kuldeep Singh ji, he shared that maids and rag pickers are being educated on the issues when they segregate the landfills and all. I was really impressed with that thing. That is the thing we need to have. We need to have that platform to raise awareness with each and every person we are handling with. And the next thing, what I feel like being a pharmacist in my healthcare facilities, actually how I take care of the medications, being a pharmacist, how I am doing, like I take care of the medicines on the first in and first out basis. I take care of the sun exposure, of the moisture, pest, room temperature, and pharmaceutical. The refrigerating drugs are kept in refrigerators, insulin, eye drops, etc. And I maintain a expiry register. And regular screening of the expiry dates actually help me in screening and sorting better if something is left. Storing and labeling in the pharmacy is really helpful. There are so many things we can do in our pharmacy on our level best. And during the disposal also, if we are following those 6 points of disposable, we are actually helping all the cycle to curb down. And the other idea, which is not implemented in our Delhi government right now, but I want that to be that the medications which are not being used, the unused medications, actually we can donate them before expiry to charitables or gurudwaras and for further reusing and dispensing. So I raise this voice of mine on this platform also, so that any protocol or any policy can be made so that about to expire drugs are donated somewhere for further use if it is not being used in our houses, in our pharmacies. So thank you all, and thank you so much. And let's spread awareness. We all are actually champions of action, architects and change makers of sustainable global society. So thank you very much for this opportunity. Over to you, Kamalji.
Yeah, thank you very much, Prerna. I'm Dr. Dhanija with the Skill Council.
Okay, thank you, ma'am.
Yeah, and this was, your presentation has been a very different topic, which we have been handling all these days. We have been talking of renewables. We have been talking of, biomass energy. We have been talking of many such things. But when Mr. PB Singh told me that you want to speak on pharmaceutical waste, so I said, yes, she should come and she should educate us and tell us what this sector needs. This sector needs a lot. I have also been in the Delhi government, when Rakesh Mehta was there. And if you remember the climate change initiative which he had taken, and the biomedical industry was one thing which he was focusing.
Okay.
There was a rare, I don't know, you are there since when in Delhi?
From 2000, I am with Delhi government.
Okay, so then you must be knowing the initiatives taken for the setting up the bio-incineration and for treating the biomedical waste. Even
the BMW guidelines came to us.
Yeah, that is the time, na? And even the slaughterhouse waste and all that, they were also to be treated. So I feel, you had said that 45% of the antibiotic treatment plants are there. So what about in Delhi? Do you have those the plants for reducing the antibiotic waste?
Mine is a health facility. Actually, like in few hospitals in Delhi, GB Pant has its incineration center. GB Pant actually they can accommodate all their waste generated over there. So because I have worked with GB Pant, I know about that. And there are few hospitals more which are actually accommodating their waste on themselves. No. But rest, we have that biotic waste management solutions. They take our waste and they dispose of in their incinerators.
Okay. Because most of the central government hospitals also, they have incineration. You can't have, a health facility without an incineration, because you have to sterilize.
The primary one.
Yeah.
The primary one. Basically, you can say primary se secondary level pe we are there now.
Yeah.
The facilities is always there in the tertiary care, because it requires a large space. It requires कि OPD भी इतना बड़ा होगा. 1000 patient rows वहाँ पे होगा या IPD होगा. R is an OPD basis only. R is a clinic, multi-speciality clinic with OPD services.
Okay. So this is in Delhi Secretariat only, na? I think so.
Yeah, it is DHS, Directorate of Health Services.
Yeah. And one thing more, the point you said about environment, sustainability, and governance. So the linkage between that is very important.
Yeah.
And as health officers, you people have to continuously focus on this, continuously keep emphasizing.
Yes,
because awareness, reaching out to people, talking to them. We have a lot of training courses where we educate the sanitary workers, but I don't think we have anything for the biomedical, trainings, because whether that comes under our
trainings are going on in our facilities, but only the nursing staff and only the people who are mainly handling the BMW that are trained. Pharmacists are not trained as per the very few ones are trained. Like I didn't had any BMW training till date, and I just studied on my own because this is my area of interest, so I studied. So there are few loopholes. I already told you that each and every person in the facility should be trained, because in my facility only, if I talk, I have seen people throwing recklessly all the lab reagents into the drain. I just stopped him. Please don't do this. We have the facility, we have biotic waste solution, just hand over to him. That is the only thing we have to do. We have to just maintain a register that this particular thing was gone to that place. That's it. So
but that is very dangerous. That is very dangerous. They should, you should have those, you should label your labs and all that and write. And, I am also a microbiologist.
We are actually doing all this, but people are not sensitized. That is why I emphasize now human sustainable behavior. Before anything else, we need to introspect ourselves. What we are doing, yaar? Ye kya kar rahe hain hum? Ultimately, this is coming to us only, na? Pani, again, it is getting clean and we are only drinking it, na, what we are throwing. If we take it that way, na, that this is our Mother Earth and we have to protect him, this is our thing, our planet, our place to live, then we will take care of, like we take care of our homes, we can take care of our health facilities also, we can take care of our environment also, our society also. This is the human behavior. The basic need is to think on, everyone has to introspect oneself, what they are doing, because कहाँ तक आप पकड़ोगे किसी को जब आपकी notice
खुद ही होना चाहिए ना. I am also a microbiologist. I have worked on encephalitis. I have worked on, in National Institute of Virology, gone for trainings there. So, it was, you can't even touch the virus. You can't, you are already, your apparels, your kit, everything is so, you have to be so careful that I don't understand how people can throw solutions in the drains and how they can just dispose it of like this. So I think there you have to be more strict, and any help you want from the skill
I have taken
council.
action and I really corrected that person, and then all the solution was handed over to the waste management.
And when you have a system of collection,
I just corrected that person.
So that is there. That is very good. Kamal, are there any other questions, or anybody has any other questions? I only want to applaud and I want to encourage you to kindly continue doing what you are. And of course, connecting with people, that is very important. Talking is very important. Sometimes we think that they don't know. Even if they know, you should tell again. Do it this way. This is one way of checking them. Yes, Kamal?
Yes, ma'am. Mr. PB Singh sir has some questions.
I want to thank PB Singh. He has brought a very good speaker. Please, PB Singh, go ahead.
मैं जस्ट प्रेरणा मैम को ये बताना चाहता हूँ कि SCGJ जो है और टाइम टू टाइम टेक्नीशियंस एंड अदर स्टाफ्स को जो वेस्ट वाटर ट्रीटमेंट प्लांट्स के होते हैं उनको ट्रेनिंग वगैरह देते रहते हैं. हम लोग फैसिलिटेट करते हैं, ट्रेनिंग प्रोवाइड करवाते हैं.
स्पेसिफिकली बायोमेडिकल वेस्ट पे हम लोग नहीं, बट वेस्ट पे हमारा बहुत काम है. एंड एज ही सेइंग के वेस्ट वाटर ट्रीटमेंट प्लांट्स, नाउ द इंडस्ट्रीज व्हिच आर कमिंग अंडर द वी हैव ऑलमोस्ट अबाउट 12 to 15 वेस्ट वाटर ट्रीटमेंट प्लांट्स ऑल ओवर, बिगर वंस, CTPs, common effluent treatment plants, where there are so many industries, and I think pharmaceutical industries are also there in the vicinity. So the it is coming there. So how much is coming from the pharmaceutical industry, that I don't know. That because everybody has not set up an ETP, they don't have a treatment facility that it can be done, reduced, and then send it to this thing. So we have these trainings for these wastewater treatment plants, the trainer, the technicians, the helpers, and even for higher level, So if you feel for your labs or for your unit, you would like to take up some trainings, or you would like to assist with us, that is what Mr. PB Singh is trying to tell you.
Right,
We have trainings, we can extend it more. We can extend it more. But health and safety is something which is there in every you can say training module which we have developed. Now with COVID coming, we also COVID management rules are also there in our modules. But specifically because biomedical waste is very specific. It is very specific. You can't take it with other ways. I think there's a question from Mr. Deepak Rai. I think, Kamal, can you just...
I read his question. There is a provision of returning back the medicines to the manufacturing unit, to the pharma industries. Yes, there is a provision. It is there. And we also do that timely.
Do you have a facility somewhere where we can drop these medicines?
Yes. They take back medicines if there is that is governed by the higher authorities, not with us, but they take back. Yes.
So over to Kamal or PB Singh. So once again, I want to thank you, and over to Kamal.
I'm also it's a very, very thank you to Prerna ji for the excellent presentation. और हम लोग चाहेंगे कि ऐसी चीजें से आप जुड़े रहें और वही जैसे कि अभी धमेजा मैम ने आपको कहा कि हम लोग उस तरह के ट्रेनिंग्स वगैरह करते हैं, तो मैं चाहूंगा कि फ्यूचर में इस तरह का जैसे भी कोई ट्रेनिंग होगा तो हम आपको इनवाइट करेंगे फॉर ए सेशन.
Thank you so much. I am also delighted to meet you all, and I really because I consider myself as an environmentalist, so I just want to work on my level best to help the environment get cleaner, to help each and every person around me. So that is my heart to participate in this. My objective is this only. But I'm really glad to hear that I can further participate with you all. That would be a very delighting situation. Thank you so much, and thank you for giving.
So we have a compliment for you. I think Mr. Kamal can read out that compliment from Mr. Ram.
Mr. Ram wants to say something.
Yeah, please.
Yes, I mean, ma'am, I've been listening to you throughout. This is not a subject of in which I am into, but really inspired by the passion for the subject that you have and for the noble cause. So congratulations on that, ma'am. Thank you so much. It was a pleasure. It was a pleasure listening to you. Yeah.
Thank you so much.
And you are welcome to our council to interact.
Yeah.
And pick up any activity which you feel where we can join hands and we can, government के साथ तो हम काम करते ही हैं. This is a mandate, and of course sanitary workers and all that trainings are also, I think so, monitored and done by your medical department only. Medical officers,
are being done. CMEs are doing good job, but on ground level there is much more to do. Trainings are going on in a limited, obviously jitna resources, jitna capacity rahega utna hi hota hai na ma'am, but I understand, but they are doing very good job. But on ground level, how much people are following, that depends on person to person behavior that need to be addressed. We need to be strict with those people. That is the issue. One of the thing which really hurts me, कि इतना pollution है फिर भी आप नहीं कुछ action ले रहे हो. That is the thing. The basic need, the basic behavior, I think.
Yeah. I know you see Yamuna was foaming. There was so much of and people are just going and taking bath there only now on the festival.
Taking pictures. Foam behind. My God.
But I tell you, it's not here only. I've been in other countries. I had gone to Berlin and their river was black. So I was telling them, I said, how come your river is so dirty? He says, ma'am, your Yamuna is also very dirty. I said, we have acknowledged that Yamuna is dirty, but at least we expected more in those. Even Nile was so black, I tell you. So this is an attitude. This is that because we had done it earlier, we were not very environmental conscious that we should dispose of, in a proper way. So that systems are continuing. We have to check and see environment. There's so many bodies besides yours. You have CPCB, you have state pollution control boards. All of them have a role to play. So if everybody was doing what they were required to do, then all this would not have happened.
And ma'am, there is an irony that we treat our rivers as our mothers, Ganga Ma, Yamuna Ma. That is an irony, no?
Yeah.
We are treating them.
So once again, I thank you, and I think Mr. Kamal would like to give a bigger thanks
Yeah, Kamal. Yeah, and Mr. PB Singh, of course.
Yes.
Yeah. When he connected me to you, I was happy. I said, yes, yes, please. Yeah. Okay.
Well, what I say, everyone has already said these things. But of course, ma'am, it's a wonderful thing, and the presentation which you have given, I mean, it's a tremendous work. This is a area where we have not even discussed about it.
Yeah.
Yeah, we were
And
not
then
even, it's not,
urgent.
it was out of our thought process basically
Oh,
before this.
no, this,
But yes,
this
this is
perspective
something
has
very
to
good.
be very urgent.
Of course, ma'am.
Uh,
I think this should be the main goal. Priority should be this.
yes, yes, sir.
And once again, thank you so much for
Thank
connecting
you.
here, ma'am.
All of you,
And
thank you.
You have
we
a
would be
nice
more than
day.
happy to in your next visit, whenever you come to Skill Council for Green Jobs.
Yeah,
It
sure.
would be a great pleasure for us.
Yeah, sure, I'll join. Sure, I'll come to you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much, participants.
Thank you. Thanks to all.
Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you. Thank you, sir. Thank you.